also, yeah, you are just like very much I get this idea, I'm gonna do it the absolute best that I can. And I love that.
There is no doubt that I am semi notorious for harebrained ideas that I just decide I'm going to do something and do it. Like I said, Delilah had attended. I entered her in these herding instinct tests the day after Thanksgiving. In the next state over, a minimum of a 5+ hour drive. But I got caught in LA traffic coming back. So it
Oh
was like a
no.
17-hour round trip day to go do
Wow.
this. And I was like, yeah, these people are like, oh, I have a long drive home. It's like 90 minutes. And I was like, I am 6+ hours back to home. And I hit all the holiday traffic, so it took longer.
Oh goodness.
But yeah, you know what else was I going to do with my Friday? I wasn't going to Black Friday shop. So I might as well go do something fun and see if my dog likes sheep.
Which apparently she does.
She did. She did. She did
I
fabulous. I was really proud of her.
I love that. So if she continues with herding, what does that look like?
So this is I actually went through this when I was there because my sister and her wife came to visit, and I was trying to explain. They were asking me what was going on in all the rings, and so the herding instinct test is very much just your dog. Your dog has to demonstrate interest, and there's sort of different things that they rate them on a little bit
Mhm.
as far as how well they're able to sort of like balance or like listen to direction and that kind of thing. But it's really pass fail. And so the next two levels, like the two official herding titles that go from there, are test level, is what they call them. And there's test level and there's trial level, basically. Now I'm
Okay.
speaking of AKC. So there's other organizations out there, but at the test level, the first level, which is herding tested, essentially, you do have to actually do a little training for because your dog has to stay while you take the leash off. And then essentially, the dog helps you move the livestock between two cones across the arena. You have to make however many turns. Just you walk back and forth between the cones till the judge says you're done, and then you have to be able to recall your dog off the livestock, which can be, you know what, you can literally like be standing there and put them in a sit and just go come and like reach out and grab the collar. Like you're not expecting at this level necessarily that your dog's going to come from like way far away. But that's kind of it. You leash them back up and you leave. And so you've shown that essentially you have enough control over your dog around the livestock to be safe, and that you are capable of moving livestock through a couple very minor obstacles, which is essentially the cones. Um, and then the next level after that is pre-trial tested PT, which is just a little bit more because your dog has to sit and stay when you take that leash off, and you kind of send them to gather the stock to you. And then you're in a bigger arena and you're walking through a couple like panels, essentially like the panels against the fence. So you've got a couple things that you just walk the livestock through. You go down to the end, you come back, and your dog has to essentially help you hold them at the gate, like show that they can stay at the gate while you put the livestock away. So this is the first time that you're opening a gate and putting them away, which
Okay.
when you think about it in terms of livestock and their tendency to want to go back to safe home base and away from the wolf that's in there with them, right? That's a trouble spot because they can get jammed up at a fence or a gate and it's
Mhm.
unsafe. So you're showing again like safe behavior. So that the test levels are mostly showing that you're capable of navigating very basic things in a safe manner. And then you get to the trial level and it gets a lot more complicated in terms of the distance you have to do things and the things that you show you can control them through and that kind of thing. It's fun. It's just really hard. And it's very dependent on, the livestock where you train, where you trial, even different sets of livestock. If the three of them, if it's three sheep, let's say if one of them doesn't want to be with that set, that's not their favorite, like that's not their friends, this is not who I'm normally grouped with, you can have one that just absolutely doesn't want to deal with
Says
it.
go away.
And the dogs, the dogs obviously vary in terms of how much of a distance in a bubble they keep or how up and in the sheep's face they get. And that obviously complicates things or can. There's also livestock that like will push back at dogs. I have worked with goats that try to actually ram a dog.
Yeah, it would
And
be
I like
just
body blocked and I got hit. I normally like goats, but some goats are super jerks.
Mhm.
And so yeah, it really depends on what you're working, and I mean, I've worked. Astrid's got the first trial level title, and then I was working towards the next one, and sort of like I lost my first dog, life changed, my job changed, whatever. And I was trying to get her pregnant to have puppies, and so we kind of just had to put the whole herding thing on hold. But um, there's so much to learn, and I think it's just so interesting because it's so different, and there's so many different situations you can see. But it takes a lot of time to understand how to read not just your dog, but you're learning how to read the livestock too.
That,
And
yeah,
that's
there's a
for
lot into
city
that.
girl, that was a whole new challenge.
So yeah, you didn't grow up. You said you didn't grow up outdoorsy. Like you grew up in city,
Yeah,
not
I mean
country.
suburbs, but my parents
Okay.
didn't. My parents did not hike, camp, any of that kind of thing. And like I said, we had dogs, but they were mostly kind of backyard or hang out on the couch kind of thing.
How
Yeah,
in the world did you end up being the like super outdoorsy one?
I I have no idea. I mean, just exposure, I guess, and time. And my husband is all of those things. So, I mean, not a dog sports person by any means, but definitely hikes and backpacks and everything else. And so, my first my first backpacking trip, I think we had been together for maybe a year or two, and he was like, "We're not going to go anywhere far because you might be terrible at this." I mean, I had bought all the gear and everything, but he's like, well, "This is going to be like a test run." And my dog and his dog, and it was a terrible, hot, hilly, hot hike, and it was a long hike. And we hiked out there. We had a great weekend. We came back, and we are like within sight of the car, and my bearded collie, who I'm showing and has his full coat and everything else, puts his face in a bush and looks up. Bear in mind, I've never seen these before in my life, even though I've had a dog for at least like a year and a half at this point, covered in ticks. I was like, I'm done. I'm out of here. Burn the car down, burn the dog down. I'm
Oh
finished. So my
no.
boyfriend at the time picked all the ticks up, and none of them got into him because he picked them off so fast. He had
Okay.
this white face. So it was great.
You could
But
just see all of them.
I was like, no, we're
Oh,
finished right now. Like, I don't do ticks, and I still don't really do ticks.
dude, ticks
I
suck.
I mostly don't live in places with ticks, or I avoid where the ticks are the time of year when they're there, because they do suck. They're terrible. Um, but I
So,
survived that, so apparently I was okay after that to continue to backpack more seriously.
I was gonna say, so you can only come to Missouri in the winter
I know, but
after
even
it's
then, like I have
frozen.
friends in Manitoba whose dogs are getting bitten when it's 35 below. It's so bad now.
Ew.
Yeah.
Well, that's supposed to be the thing. It gets too cold, they die.
Yeah, yeah. There's like 1 month near my house, it's like May, where there's ticks, and so I just go, "We're gonna go hike at 10,000 feet because 'cause we're fine."
Yeah,
That's my solution is elevation. "Let's go to
that's
10,000 feet. There's no
amazing.
ticks up here." No ticks, no rattlesnakes.
Yeah, I was avoiding asking you about snakes because I go to bed in a few hours.
Oh, no, I just,
Like,
again, it's another one of those, I don't do those things, I don't go to the places generally where I have to run into
okay,
them because, I don't I'm
don't love
terrified of
them.
having to manage dogs with them. Now that said, when Maeve had her litter in 2022, it was a September litter, and it was a warm fall, and we have rattlesnake fenced our yard because
Mm-mm.
they were turning up in our yard a little bit before that.
Mm-mm.
And
Nope.
I got this bright idea when my husband was off doing something away from the house to let all the dogs out in the yard. And she had, I say, 3-week-old puppies. And like we went out, everybody's running around, and I turn around from something I just walked past, and there was a rattlesnake. So I somehow managed to like swoop up 5 dogs because I knew if Sorsha's like real prey driven. I know if she saw it, she would have just gone for it. So I swoop up everybody, and I'm like, I have this nursing mother with tiny babies inside. I cannot, but I'm like, I can't let it be loose in my yard because we have stone walls and it'll vanish, and then we'll have a rattlesnake in our yard, and I won't ever know. It'll just pop up somewhere. So I sat there and I held it off with like a um, pooper scooper until my husband got home. I'm calling him frantically. He's like at the bottom of the driveway doing something with the. He had gotten back, but he wasn't all the way up to the house. And I'm like, I have a rattlesnake. Get up here, right? Because it needs to go back out of the
Oh,
yard.
that's horrible.
He ended up picking it up with the pooper scooper and putting it out of the yard, and then finding where the fencing had bent a little bit. But that's the closest I've come on like worst nightmare kind of thing. I walk a lot and look in the summer and check, but we do check the fence every spring, and obviously
I
multiple times during the summer. But
This is the first I've ever heard of rattlesnake proofing.
Yeah.
What does that fencing look like?
So we have a normal fence. It's a split rail fence
Mm-hmm.
with just enough of a mesh, obviously, that the dogs can't go through that split rails. But the rattlesnake fencing is like a very fine mesh. And so you have to go up, I think it's like at least 3 feet off the ground, but then you have to bury it under, right?
Right.
So it's like, and so it's
It's
all
like a
tacked
Jack
along.
Russell fence.
Right. So it's tacked in along the fence line and then it's buried underneath and we've got like big dirt and big rocks and stuff on top of the bottom. And so the issue is we have 3 gates into the yard. We try not to use them very much, but the gates is where it gets tough because it has to kind of like fold over the gap and stuff,
Right.
right? And so it was like one bench
It's
spot in
definitely
one
the
of the
weak point.
gates. Yeah. Um,
Wow.
but yeah, we didn't have a fence when we moved in this house. Um, we knew we were going to build one, but we didn't
Mm-hmm.
have one initially. It took like a month to schedule or something. During which time I believe Jeff's St. Bernard went chasing a herd of elk on a hot summer night and didn't come back for like an hour. Just took off
Oh,
into the woods chasing a herd of elk. And we were like, well,
that's a
there goes the
choice word.
dog. No, we had to run back. We were in like flip flops in our yard. We had to go
Yeah.
back and get like boots because of stuff out in the woods.
Yeah.
And he came back.
Happy
I
as
think
could
he went
be.
up and over the hillside, the ridge to somewhere else, someone else's property probably. But he came back with his tongue down to the floor, like dead tired, happy as could be. Yeah. Anyway, then we got a fence, but we did have and we had no idea. Honestly, we were so stupid. We had no idea we had rattlesnakes.
No.
Because we were kind of new to Colorado, and we were like, well, we're at 6,200 feet. I don't know. We had no idea. And then
I
I
can't
was
say
away for,
anything. I am intentionally ignorant of what we have out here.
yeah, yeah, it's great until like it's in your yard. And I was out of state breeding Astrid, and he said he opened the door where the dogs go flying out to the yard,
Uh-uh.
and there was one
Nope.
right there.
Nope.
And he just didn't have any of the dogs with him at the time. So I was like, okay, so we have to do something else because I can't be, and that breeding didn't take, but I was like, we can't have puppies
And
and be worrying
rattlesnakes.
about snakes. Like I can't deal with this. Like I
No.
cannot cope. I will move away. Like we're done here if we can't figure this out. And so my husband went and rattlesnake fenced the entire yard himself in the heat of the summer.
Wow.
He's handy that way.
The win for your husband because absolutely not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, the first snake I saw in this area, it was like we just had the puppy, so we lived in the house for like maybe 3 or 4 months now, and I am so scared of them that it's comical because it's dumb. And like I had just really gotten to start knowing our neighbors, and I had their phone number, and I'm coming to let the dogs out, and I'm starting to drive up our road. So I'm in a vehicle,
Mhm.
and there's a black snake in the road. Just at the time, I didn't know that black snakes were the good snakes. To me,
Right.
I just don't like snakes. Like
Yeah.
I know they exist. I want them to stay away.
Yeah.
So I just stop because I can't, even in my car, I can't get myself to go near them. And I call my neighbor and I'm like borderline having a panic attack and tears. And I'm like, there's a snake in the road. Can you come move it? So she just comes out and she just like scoots it and just shepherds it across the road. And I've never seen the snake look so annoyed because it was definitely just sunning itself in the
Right.
middle of the road. And I've never seen it since. And I'm
Good.
just like, beautiful, love you. You're doing a great job at staying in those woods back there where
Right.
I don't have to see you. And then I was like, can you help me let the dogs out? Because I can't get myself to go to the backyard now.
Yeah. No, it's tough when it gets in your head. And I have to like, you don't want to get close enough to look, but like we also have bull snakes, which are good and territorial and fight off the rattlesnakes, right? And so like you don't want to hurt one of those. But I'm like, I don't want to get close enough to know, thank you very much.
Right.
Um, which it is. And so, we've seen them outside the yard a few times. And my husband's willing to go check and he's like, it's a bull snake, it's fine. Or like, no, I'll go take care of that other one. Um, and you
Love
see
him for
them
that.
sometimes you see them on the road. Like I was coming down the road sometime this summer. We live up this dirt canyon.
Right.
And I was coming down, and there was one in the middle of the road, and I'm like, I'm not going to get close enough to look to see which kind it is. But somebody was walking their dog up as I got further down, and I'm like, just FYI, if you're going up there, there's a snake in the middle of the road. So, but there's stories because we might be some of the only people that fence their dogs or keep an eye on them or
Hmm.
anything else. And it's rural where we're at now.
Yeah.
Um, and so there are definitely summers where like a bunch of people have dogs that are bitten by rattlesnakes. And I'm like,
Oh, it's
heck no.
heartbreaking.
Like, heck no, I don't need to hit my insurance deductible that badly. And
Nope.
like, it just terrifies me. And I have a neighbor who hosts the rattlesnake training every
Huh.
summer for the people in
I'm
town,
gonna.
but it is the shot collar training. And I will say that when I was first there, I tried it with one dog, and I just don't want to do that again ever.
Fair.
So I'd rather avoid the rattlesnakes. It's not my jam. I understand why people do it, and I understand that it's a safety factor, especially for people's dogs who are running a little bit more loose in my town. Because it's not just up by my house; it's down in my town. Dogs are loose every day. But
Love to say I'm
I
surprised.
I would rather just avoid them as much as I can.
Yeah.
Because that just didn't
Yep.
it wasn't comfortable for me. Let's go with that.
That's. I'm so glad that you haven't had any super bad experiences, because that one sounds like that would have just been like, nope, I'm done. I'm moving.
I mean, just the exposure terrifies me enough, you know? That's plenty.
Yeah. That's my favorite part about it's now cold enough that they're all gone. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yay.
We
I can
hiked
run
this
on
morning in
trails
the
and not be
desert.
scared.
We hiked this morning in the desert, and it was like cold when we started and cool enough when we finished. I didn't have dogs because it was a super cactusy kind of thing. And like
Okay.
literally the first dog I saw was these people coming up, and all of a sudden the dog screamed because it had stepped in a big clump of
Step.
cactus. I
Oh,
was like, I'm glad I left the girls at home. But yeah, like I would not be out on most of these trails in the heat of the summer or anything else. We go early when it's cold because I just don't want to deal with it.
that's, yeah. I'm trying to come up with literally
This is where
anything
my
else to
hiking,
talk
like
about
I'm willing
now.
to sacrifice, right? Like, again, I'll go to high elevation when I'm at home in Colorado to avoid the ticks, the rattlesnakes, everything else. And if I can't go for whatever reason, I won't go at all because
Yeah.
that's sort of my defining line.
There's plenty of stuff we can do inside
Yeah,
or in a yard,
yeah,
especially with
or
the fact
sniff
that
spot
you've.
or whatever else,
Yeah. What is your highest trick dog title you've gotten?
I think just advanced. What is it? Novice. What's the second one?
Intermediate,
Intermediate, advanced.
advanced,
Yeah, I think it's just
elite
advanced on
performer.
probably. I think that's on Sorsha. I did. The problem was I did Astrid and Stanley. I tested them together, I think for novice and intermediate. But that was back in the day when you sent your paper form in, and I didn't keep a copy. So I didn't know what tricks I submitted. So I couldn't figure out what to do for advanced, right? And then we had a pandemic and you could submit everything online. And so for Sorsha, I did like bam, 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 everything by video before she was. So they changed the age requirement, I think, to four
Hmm.
months, but they changed it after she was a puppy. So she got her first strict dog title at like 9 weeks old. And then I was like, let's teach more. So she had everything through advanced by the time she was like 5 months or 6 months.
That's
Um,
amazing.
and I should like I have the forms all filled out for Delilah, and I basically just need some like I need to do them somewhere or video them for her next two levels because I'm like, yeah, either I can
Hmm.
teach this or you know it already. And I just haven't done it. But we did video her trick dog novice like before she was 4 months old, and then I just had it ready to go to submit to my friend to review as soon as she was 4 months old. Um, but yeah, I know there's so much more now, and I think like I haven't really delved into like all the levels that exist, but it sounds like you can make it such a fun routine and all these other things.
Yeah, so elite performer is essentially like, okay, now go do heel work to music freestyle
Okay.
or dog dance,
I've
whatever
seen
you
some
want to
people's
call it.
beautiful videos.
Oh, they're so fun. We have
Yeah.
a lady, she has a 16-year-old terrier mix, and they're getting ready to do his elite performer. So I was
Oh.
her house, and he was showing us all of his little tricks for it, and then the whole storylines. He's helping her with chores and everything. And I'm
Nice.
just like, Harry, you're so cute.
That's awesome.
He's just like
Yeah,
this big. He's such a small dog.
that's so cute. And see the stuff I taught her in class on Tuesday, like I can use some of
Yeah,
that.
you could use a lot of that
For
actually.
sure. Yeah. Um, yeah, I haven't done more than that. Just I like I said, my older dogs, it was like, oh, I don't remember what we did, honestly. Um, Maeve might have advanced too. I honestly don't know. I should.
So, with you doing so many high impact activities, do you do conditioning?
I do, and it kind of varies on the dog and what they're doing. I didn't so much back in the old days. Of course, I don't think we even had as much of that in the old days.
No.
Okay, seriously, it was over 20 years ago. So I've had berries for 23, almost 24 years. So in
I'm
the
gonna
old
keep
days,
my
we
mouth
didn't have
shut
a whole lot.
because I like you liking me.
We had like a dog chiropractor and you did laser if your dog got injured doing agility, but like
I
there
love
wasn't
that.
much of that stuff, right? And now I do a bit of something with everybody. So like Maeve had to have an unplanned C-section with this litter, and so we worked a lot on like her core strength coming back from
Hmm.
that. And just when I'm getting my dogs, kind of geared up for any sort of if we've been lazy and not done a lot, or for a stretch, like with puppies coming off of puppies, I was like, let's all get these things out and kind of work on your rear end awareness and like some strength and some core strength and this, that. And they're all, my dogs are all very food motivated and very toy motivated, but they all love to train. So trying to get
That's a
everybody sorted
perfect
to do the
combo.
things like they all want to do it at once. And so sometimes we have like three of us on a platform at once because we're all fighting to get on there. We do work on our stationing to keep everybody, some of us contained while
Hmm.
we're trying to work one. But it is a chore or locking some of us up so we can work everybody else. Um, but I've done like some Fenzi conditioning classes in the past too. Like I made great progress with Stanley when he was a senior. There was a senior dog fitness class. And I was really
Yeah.
able to work on like kind of his top line and his rear end strength and stuff in his later couple years doing one of those classes. And there's a couple other places I've either subscribed to like a course or bits and pieces that I try
Hmm.
to pull together and use. And so much now of even like sport foundations is bits of that also, because like Delilah's done a sports prep series, and we did a
Hmm.
lot of like sort of platform work and feet up and feet down and everything else in different ways that you're also kind of working their fitness and building them up. And I did sign up with her a few months back, for some of the materials for like a puppy conditioning course, so things that are a little more appropriate for puppies, not pushing it too hard. um, and then, like I said, like Sorsha with the running, I'm super careful. We do regular chiropractic. Mostly that's because Sorsha likes to break herself by, we don't play fetch. Sorsha doesn't play fetch because she
Hmm.
goes ass over tea kettle and like whacks herself and just carries right on. And now we have a
She
puppy who
has
likes to
no
body.
self preservation.
Oh no. And now we have a puppy who likes to body slam everybody in the yard playing. So we had the dog chiropractor was out last week before Thanksgiving, and um, they weren't as bad as I thought they were going to be, honestly. But I was like, just make
That's a
sure,
win.
and then everybody's going to go rest. Like because they all think, okay, somebody's come, they've gone, time to go run in the yard, and I'm like, let's stay fixed for
Calm
like
down.
5 minutes, can we? Um, but yeah, I own a fair bit of that equipment over time, just because it's good for training all sorts of different
Yeah.
things anyway. But it is good for their fitness, right? And
I
like I said, the core strength is so important with so many things. And after spays as well, sort of prepping for a spay, after a spay, I did the same thing for myself with mine, um, and it was good to have a strong core. Um, but it's
sorry, the way you said it was absolutely amazing.
oh, I did. I went in with the best abs I could, just to because I knew it
Love
was going to be tough recovery regardless.
yeah.
But so yeah, you definitely, I think you have to think about it when you've got active dogs. I mean, especially when they're idiots like mine that bounce all over the place.
I
I
have no idea what you're talking about.
I have a tile floor in here, and I'm like, you can't lift a toy above like your waist because somebody's going to jump for it and then try to land like a moron, like flipping onto their back or something. I'm like, okay, we can't do that. Oh my god. Yeah.
As a way to keep track of time before we got on here, and that was like starting on food prep. I just did a quick TikTok live of just playing the dog board game.
Mhm.
The amount of times that Aslan got off of his place and I had to fix the rug because he's so excited all the time to do all the things. But he just like skids around and throws himself around. I'm just like, but please, half a brain cell, please.
I forgot to feed the puppy lunch till like an hour or two after her usual time today. So she was super hyped up. And Astrid, anytime you feed anybody, Astrid thinks she's going to get food. I have
Of
a runner
course.
rug on the hallway back to the dog room because the dogs sprint. Astrid went flying down the hallway, slid out, was suddenly like on the ground, sliding down the side next to the rug, and then like bounced back up and ran in the room. And I'm like, you're 11 and a half. Can we just not, please? Like, no clue she shouldn't be doing that.
Oh god.
And I mean, that's still like middle aged for a beardy, but seriously, like, can we just not? Like, can we not break ourselves, you guys?
Merle Scooby Doo's. So I was able to find matching rugs this time and got one
Mhm.
in the kitchen. And he will just Scooby Doo
Oh,
up.
God.
Like he slows down now because he sees the rug and he knows he'll get a bit of traction. But before that, he would freeze in midair and his legs were doing this, and he just like had hit that point of skid where it did no good. So he like skid into the trash can, and I'm just like, God,
Please don't.
why? You know that you're gonna go outside. You could walk calmly.
I had to put, I think 2 years ago, I had to put insulation, like pipe insulation, basically like pool noodles,
Mm-hmm.
um, on the doorway of the wire crate because Astrid twice I was like, why is there a bloody spot on top of your head? Because she hit it so hard going in for her meal. She hit the roof of the like doorway, and I'm like, you're trying to scalp yourself for food. So yeah, she has an insulated doorway, so she hits the padding instead with the top of her head. Like I said, they're not good on my
Oh,
behavior at all.
oh. And this is like as she's an older dog,
Yeah, yeah.
not puppy Astrid. This is
No, like
Astrid
nine,
now.
10 years old, Astrid was still. I mean, mealtime is
Oh
very
god.
exciting. And yes, it's a dead
Oh,
sprint to the crates. So I did. Maeve is the only one. Maeve sits and waits in the crate and just yells at everybody as they come running in the room. And I know what that goes back to because
that's amazing.
when she was a puppy, and now I think her kid is sort of doing it. But when she was a puppy, she would bite at Astrid while Astrid ran to the crate for food. And she was like, "This is great. She's running." Like she'd bite at her, and I'm like, "Okay, I have to like probably get a handle on this." And I did Loretta Mueller's multi-dog mayhem course on Fenzi. And you sort of it's multi-dog management in a
Mm-hmm.
household, but you're sort of picking who your project child is. And it was Maeve as a puppy, a little younger than Delilah's age. Because I was like, yeah, I usually, if I know I'm getting a puppy, I train my adults like, let's do a little refresher work so everybody remembers because you guys are going to be the good examples. And Maeve was doing things like biting an Astrid as she was super excited. So now Maeve goes and waits in the crate, which is great. And I wish everybody would do that. But she does have to, absolutely yell about it as they all come sprinting
Oh
into the
yeah,
room. But instead of biting and barking, she's just barking in the crate out of everybody's way. So
that's
it's,
a win.
it's management. It's fine. It works.
Aslan, he's like somehow the middle of both of that. So
Mhm.
he hasn't quite figured out in the mornings because he likes to work for his food in the morning. So we do morning and night training, which I'm enjoying.
Mhm.
But he hasn't quite figured out that the other two, they don't like to drink. So I soak their food for the mornings. So he just hops in the crate and waits there for like 20 minutes, just standing there at attention,
Oh,
like, where's my food?
are
Where's
we
the food?
doing it
Where's the
yet?
food? Are we? I'm like, you're such a cattle dog. It's ridiculous.
But that's so sweet, though. I mean,
It's so cute. I'm gonna have
yeah,
to get a picture of it to send you because it's absolutely ridiculous. But he's just like, are we doing the thing? It's time to do
right,
the thing.
right. Well, and Astrid in her old age is so sure she has to control while I'm prepping the meals that everyone else like walks this fine line around the periphery of the kitchen because if you get too close, she's like, uh-uh. And yes, I know, like I can train that too, but
Eh.
She's
It's kind
she's
of
an old
helpful.
lady, she's set in her ways, and if she wants to just snark at everybody if they get too close while I'm making the bowls, it's fine because then I don't have everybody all over me while I'm making the bowls. Um,
Exactly.
but yeah, they're all like ducking and dodging while Maeve is in the back room by herself. The younger
Yelling.
two are like her child. Sorsha is smart. Astrid's kid knows her mother quite well at this point, so she just hangs under the kitchen table and like watches. But the puppy still thinks like she can get in the middle of everything. A lot. And so she and Astrid are just constantly like back and forth. And Astrid will bark at her, and then she's like, "I'll bark back." They really are so much
They are the
alike.
same.
They're so much alike. It cracks me up. But
Oh, it's
Astrid
great.
loves her because
Oh,
Delilah doesn't take her
okay.
shit. I mean, Astrid loves her. Um, and yeah, they hence the barking battles sometimes and everything else. Like, and Astrid thinks it's hilarious, but Astrid will grab a toy and bark, 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 and be shoving it in her face and be like, "Why aren't you tugging or playing with me?" Um, and that's the only one she initiates play with. So it's also kind of fun to see my almost 12-year-old. Sorry about that.
You're good.
My almost 12-year-old
That's so
super
cute.
playful.
Just like, child, come on, let's go. Figure
Yeah.
it out.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, initially, Auntie Astrid is so loud and deep barked that, the puppy's like, I don't know about that. And now she's like, okay, let's jump in everybody's faces. She does this thing right now where she just boings over their backs, like just they have legs like Springs beardies anyway. But so like they'll be playing or
Yeah,
whatever, or walking around the yard or anything, and she's next to one of them, and she's just suddenly boing over their back on the other side. And so she loves to do that to Astrid too. This is
your
why
girls are so tolerant.
people they are. I don't know how
Mm.
Sorsha still has a coat because she hangs off of it and everything else. She got a hand mouthful of her mother's hair today playing fetch. They are really good about it though. I mean, you like to think that puppy license to some degree expires, and she's also just matured a little bit, so it's not as bad as it was by any means, but um, definitely they let her get away with a fair bit. They're like,
Oh,
oh,
definitely.
it's not worth that's not worth it.
I love watching older dogs decide what they're going to let a younger dog get away with.
Yeah. Well, and I would rather have it like this, where Astrid is voluntarily choosing to engage her.
Oh, yeah.
Stanley hit a point, I mean, Stanley lived to like 16 plus, but the last litter I had, he was, let's say, 15. I really didn't have him around the puppies because he just didn't need puppies underfoot and or trying to nurse
Yeah.
off him or something else, like, if he was a little less steady. But I kept Sorsha, and so he was, oh my gosh, Sorsha was born in 2020. So Stanley was 13 when I kept Sorsha, and she was madly in love with him, just adored him
Oh,
completely. And he was like, I want nothing to do with it. And we're like, just keep telling her off. And he would tell her off. And I was like, she'll grow out of it. She'll grow out. She never grew
never.
out of it. So Stanley's in like whole rest of his life
Oh,
was this little puppy in his face going like, just I love you so much, Uncle Stanley. I
love
like
me
to think
back.
he felt flattered that there was still a girl like completely in love with him, but um, she never outgrew that just sort of
Oh,
sycophantic adoration of him. So I'm happy
that's so
Delilah's not that
sweet.
bad.
Understandable.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I know they
Oh,
don't they don't, need other dogs. I was walking them at night for a while here because I couldn't get everybody to potty at the same time to go to bed. And you get people on the walking path who just randomly start talking to you in the dark. And this guy go, "Can I pet your dogs?" And I'm in the middle of trying to pick up a poop, and the puppy's like pulling one way. I have 4 dogs on a leash, and I'm like, "Well, I guess you're already petting them, right?" And he goes, "Why do you have four?" I'm like, "Oh God." My husband wants to know the same thing. Why do you have four? And I was like, well, it just sort of happened that way. I like, what do you say to that? Right? He goes, are they just like, do they really need a pack to be happy? They can't be alone. And I was like, no, no, these dogs would all be happy alone, but it is what it is. Um, I was like,
but
no,
I want more of them.
they're spaced out. Yeah, I mean, they're also spaced out over the years, and there's reasons
Yeah.
why. Like I really did want something from Maeve, and I'm not going to breed Maeve again, so this was kind of my last shot at that. And I'm not going to breed Sorsha, so I kind of, it's going to be a while before I do anything. And,
Oh, yeah.
Astrid's getting older and I'm going to lose Astrid at some point. And Maeve and Sorsha are pretty close in age. So they've got a long time still, hopefully. But it just, like it just happened that way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's such an odd question to ask somebody.
Especially a dog, like a real dog person, like, why do you have four? Oh God, I don't know. They just all showed up at my door one day. I don't know.
Yeah, just
Um,
four of the same breed showed up.
it's
Of
also,
different ages.
it's also a little awkward sometimes, with the society we live in, depending on what people ask. I don't always say that I bred some of them. I don't
Right?
always admit to being a dog breeder, right? Like some random lady petting the puppy at the mall who goes, "Oh, did you have to ship her in from really far away?" And I was like, "No, she's from my state." Like I don't
Yeah.
want to. I don't really
Easiest
want
shipping costs.
don't really want to get into that.
No.
Well, especially
Yeah, I
because
can't
there's
blame
a
you
lot of
one bit.
down here, like there's a lot of
Adopt shop.
yeah, yeah, or maybe more designer dog stuff too, depending
Mm.
on the neighborhood or
I
whatever.
live in Missouri. I understand that.
Okay, yeah. But it is funny taking them out just because I've got this puppy, I've got the two in full coat, and then I've got Astrid, and so
Who's
people
shaved?
are like, "Are they the same breed?" They are. This is just a trim senior. This is a puppy in puppy coat. Or I take the puppy and I take Astrid, and they're like, "Oh, they're sheepadoodles." Um, I get sheepadoodle a lot, actually.
I
Or I
imagine
get I get the other one I've gotten a lot, and it's weird because it's people who have Old English sheepdogs,
Mhm.
like, go, "Oh my gosh, their coats look amazing. How do you get them to be like that? I have ones, and I don't get this like that." And I was like, "Well, I brush them this often and whatever." And they go, "Are they minis? Because they look small." And I'm like, "Wait, wait, wait. What breed did you say you have?" "Oh, I have Old English. Isn't that what these are?" No, they're not because people don't know what beardies are, and so it's great. I get to
No.
educate on the breed, and it's fine. But it is with this many of them, or with any subset of them out in public. I definitely get a good number of questions of any variety about what they are and why I have them.
I was gonna
Are
say
they
we
all
hadn't even.
yours? That's a big one. Are they all yours? Yes, they are.
I'm just waiting to start getting that question now that I've got three.
Depends on
Especially because,
how
like,
well behaved they're acting at the moment, whether I'm happy about saying that or not.